Well, it's Father's Day, everyone, and I'm about to review a film I'm long overdue in giving to you because I failed to give y'all a review of this for its anniversary 2.5 years ago. But now I'm finally give it to you. Here it is. This is my review of Meet the Parents. Bad Days, Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Dual, better known to you as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a review of the 2000 comedy flick Meet the Parents, released by Universal along with DreamWorks, directed by Jay Roach, best known for directing the Austin Powers franchise, with a script written by Jim Herzfeld and John Hamburg. It chronicles a series of unfortunate events that befall a good-hearted but hapless male nurse who wants to spend the rest of his life with his girlfriend, but unfortunately he'll have to survive one weekend with her parents. The film stars Robert DeNiro along with Ben Stiller, Teri Polo, Blythe Danner, and Owen Wilson, and a host of others. This film was a big hit and what have you when it came out. It's a remake of the 1992 film of the same name that was directed by Greg Glana and produced by Jim Vincent. And actually, that film was an independent film, as a matter of fact. I don't know much of it, though, but... And to be honest, I've never actually seen it either. Oh well. Let me see now. Actually, I will say Steven Spielberg was actually interested in doing this, while Jim Carrey was interested in playing a lead role, but, well, the studio only offered the film to Roach once Spielberg and Carrey left. Nevertheless, this film was absolutely a big success. It would become a big film, a little bit of a franchise that had 2 sequels and even a short-lived reality TV show and a sitcom. Let's get into our story. Our story starts with the oddly named Greg Fokker, that's spelled F-O-C-K-E-R, a Jewish nurse living in Chicago who intends to propose to his girlfriend, Pam Burns. But his plan is disrupted when they are invited to the wedding of Pam's sister Debbie at their parents' house on Long Island. Greg decides to impress Pam's parents first and propose to her in front of her family. But this plan is put on hold when the airline company loses his luggage, which contains the engagement ring. At the Burns house, Greg meets Pam's father, Jack, her mother, Dina, and their beloved cat, Jinx. Despite maintaining a friendly demeanor towards Greg, Jack is immediately suspicious of him and is critical of his choice of career as a male nurse and anything else he sees as a difference between Greg and the Burns family. Greg attempts to impress Jack with little success, and he becomes even more uncomfortable after he receives an impromptu lie detector test from Jack and later learns from Pam that Jack is a retired CIA operative who interrogated double agents. Now, the lie detector test was absolutely really funny. That was one of the funniest parts of this movie. Alright, then where was I? Oh, yes. Meeting the rest of Pam's family and friends, Greg still feels like an outsider. Despite efforts to impress her family, his inadvertent actions make him an easy target for ridicule. Greg unintentionally gives Debbie a broken nose and a black eye during a pool volleyball game, uses a malfunctioning toilet which floods the backyard with sewage, spills Jack's mother's ashes while opening a champagne bottle, and sets the wedding altar on fire. Several misunderstandings cause Jack to believe Greg is a marijuana user after Pam's weed-using brother Danny implicitly frames him. Later, Greg loses Jinx and replaces him with a stray whose tail he spray paints and makes a mess of the house, including destroying Debbie's wedding dress, though the real Jinx is later found. By now, the entire Burns family, including Pam, agrees that Greg should leave Long Island, while Jack accuses Greg of lying about being a nurse and taking the MCAT test, which that's medical college admission test, because his CIA contacts could not find any record of a Gregory Fokker. Despite desperate to save himself, Greg reveals he has seen Jack engaging in some secret activity with some shady characters and that Jack is planning a covert mission after the wedding, only for Jack to furiously reveal that the mission was a surprise honeymoon for Debbie and her fiance, Bob. Well, now I'm going to go to the final act and the ending. As always, the procedure you have 5 seconds to stop this video. Go to the description box below. Fast forward to the time below as I count down. If you've seen the movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. Greg's missing luggage arrives, revealing his real first name is as Gaylord, much to the amusement of the Burns and Banks family. Greg drives angrily and sadly to the airport, preparing to return to Chicago, but is detained by air support security for insisting that his luggage stays with him rather than be checked. Back at the Burns house, Jack learns from a disappointed Pam that he could find no record of Greg from the CIA because his real name is Gaylord and is presented with copies of Greg's transcripts his parents faxed her, proving that Greg passed the MCATs. Despite this, Jack still states his belief that Greg is an unsuitable husband for Pam because of his mistakes and lies. But Dina lectures him over his consistent picking apart of any man Pam brings home, and that he didn't even like Pam's previous fiance, Kevin, until after they broke up. After hearing Pam make a heartfelt phone call to Greg to apologize for not sticking up for him earlier, Jack realizes that Pam truly loves him. So he rushes to the airport and convinces airport security to release Greg and brings him back to the Burns house. Jack performs a lie detector test on Greg before they go to tell the truth about the weekend loving Pam, leading Jack to propose to Greg to be his son-in-law. As Greg proposes to Pam, Jack and Nina listen in from another room, agreeing that they should now meet Greg's parents despite their worries about doing so. After Debbie's wedding, Jack views footage of Greg recorded by hidden cameras that he had placed strategically around the house, in which Greg calls Jack a psycho and mocks him, and also exposes Denny as the true marijuana user. And he says in the end, "Can you deal with that?" End of story. So what did I think of Meet the Parents? I'm going to say it's still pretty much of a funny movie after all these years and what have you. This film was released on October 6, 2000, and eventually became a big success. And another big hit for Jay Roach after he recently directed Austin Powers' The Spy Who Shagged Me the previous year. The film went on to make $330 million worldwide. It was well received by film critics and viewers alike, winning several awards and earning additional nominations. Stiller won 2 comedy awards for his performance, and the film was chosen as the favorite comedy motion picture at the People's Choice Awards, which I think that was really, really good. Anyway, now, of course, the film received a generally positive response from film critics, being commended of its subtlety of its humor, as well as being named as the funniest or one of the funniest films of the year by several critics. According to Rotten Tomatoes, which has the film at 84%, which of course that's good enough to be certified fresh, said, despite sometimes sitcom-like execution, the film is a hilarious look at familial relationships that works mostly because the chemistry between its 2 leads is so effective. The LA Times called the funniest film of the year so far, possibly the most amusing mainstream live-action comedy since There's Something About Mary. The Wall Street Journal even mentions that this film does almost everything right with a story about everything going wrong, and that it works up a major comic delirium on the theme of Murphy's Law. concluding that the film is the funniest movie of the year. Well, I won't give too much more of the reviews, but the film would go on to be a big one. Let's see here. So anyway, yeah. It had so much hystericalness. Yeah. Especially, as I mentioned, the lie detector test and why have you. Especially when he has so many questions. And I look at the last question he has that Jack asks Greg's like, have you ever watched pornographic films? And he's trying to get the right word to come out like yes or no. Oh boy. So anyway, I really liked it. And the story was really good. Also, another good thing was the film had its score done by Randy Newman, who had recently done the scores for Disney and Pixar's Toy Story films. He also contributed to the film's soundtrack with a song called A Fool in Love, which actually got nominated for an Academy Award for Best Original Song, but lost to Bob Dylan's Things Have Changed from the film Wonder Boys, which unfortunately that film bombed at the box office, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that film kind of bombed. Nevertheless, it did have some additional tracks from others, including Bobby Womack, Lee Dorsey, and Dr. John. So anyway, yeah. Now, of course, there's two versions of A Fool in Love. The main version is done by Newman at the beginning, and the other is kind of a duet version at the end, which Newman does along with Mr. Roach's real-life wife, Susanna Hoffs, who if that name sounds familiar, that is the Susanna Hoffs of the rock and roll girl band known as the Bangles. Yes, you know, the band that gave us Manic Monday, Eternal Flame, and of course, Walk Like an Egyptian. Yeah. So anyway, I really thought it was really something. Now, Greg Galena, who did the original, didn't come up with the surname of Fokker. Greg's character in the original film didn't have a last name, so the name was written into the script after Carrey, Mr. Jim Carrey, came up with the idea for that during a creative session held before he abandoned the project. Once the film was submitted for rating, the MPA questioned the surname as possibly an expletive, and due to the repetitiveness of the surname throughout the film, it was in danger of being rated R. The filmmakers were asked if they had made up the name or if they can prove that such a name exists. Well, the studio submitted to the MPA a list of real people with the surname of Fokker, which ensured that the film retained a PG-13 rating, and so it did. Anyway, after this, there would be two sequels. In 2004, we got Meet the Fockers, and in 2010, Little Fockers. Now, both of those, I was going to review those this month, but since I had other stuff in the way, I told you I'd had to postpone them until further notice, okay? Those will still come up sometime, so stay tuned, okay? Now, in 2002, NBC had premiered a reality TV show called Meet My Folks and a sitcom called The In-Laws. Now, the Meet My Folks series actually got canceled after only one season. Now, as for In-Laws, that got canned instantly after only, after only maybe about 4 or 5 months. Anywho, yeah. Horrible. Horrible. Just horrible. But nevertheless, Meet the Parents is absolutely a comically fun-filled blast. So overall, with everything I've said about the film, would I recommend Meet the Parents? The answer is hell yeah, definitely. This is definitely a great film. I think you'll really like it once you give it a shot. It's easy to find on physical media. Or if you find it on a streaming service, then go for it. Anyway, so what did you think of Meet the Parents? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Join me next time when I bring to you my spoiler-free review of Disney and Pixar's newest film, Elemental. So, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, check out my reviews for some of these other fun-filled comedies. In the upper left-hand corner is my review of the third Austin Powers movie, which was Goldmember from 2002. Now, I did mention that I did review the other two, and I did, but I'm going to try and re-review them and fix them up so that way it can, well, you know. Or, if you want, go to the upper right-hand corner and see my review of one of the films I was just talking about a little bit ago, and that's There's Something About Mary. Or, if you would like another crazy comedy and what have you, you can go to the bottom left-hand corner and see my review of another film that was actually done by the same guys who did me. There's Something About Mary, and that's Me, Myself, and Irene with Jim Carrey, which happened to come out the same year this film did. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.